30 Minutes with Ron. Hello, welcome to another edition of 30 Minutes with Ron. My name's Ron Gagliardi. I'm the host of the show. And today we have a special guest who's also named Ron Kochman. Ron, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're going to be talking to you today about a new magazine in Cheshire called Cheshire Today. It's online only, and it has some interesting things that we're going to tell you about. Let's start with how we got to be. We were on a committee together, and there were 5 people on the committee, and 3 of the people wanted to do one thing, and this Ron and I wanted to do another thing. And we decided, well, we're not going to cause any ruckus here, so we'll just leave this decision to the committee. They're going to win. We're going to do something else. And that's how we started this magazine. What do you think about this magazine?
Well, it's a new magazine that we started. It's apolitical. We're not involving ourselves in the national situation. It's about Cheshire. It's about our town. And we wanted to give our town all the timely information about what's going on, what's happened also in the past. And we have also some games we're playing on there where we have contests. And it's just a general information magazine.
And we have several different sections of the magazine. And we're going to share some of those with you today. And let's start with a magazine that used to be in Cheshire, but we also have permission to use. This is the Cheshire Magazine, and it's printed. I used to be the editor. I used to do some articles for it, and I got the permission from Roger Dietz, who is the manager of the magazine, or was actually, now it's defunct, and we have permission to print on our site, the new CheshireToday.com. We can put these articles in there. So this one happens to be from Tony Falcone. It's a cover he did. And he's a person of great note in Cheshire, and he's got an article in Cheshire Today. Would you like to say something about that article?
Yeah, we took it from the magazine, actually, and just transposed it into the magazine, into the e-magazine. And it's quite interesting. That we had quite a good response. And we're doing issues in this magazine of people of note from the town,
yes,
which is one of the sections. And it's going to highlight people that contributed to our town,
yeah,
and made our town what it is today.
in a major way.
In a major way, yes.
And we have various sections in the magazine. One of them is things from the past. One of them is this book from the past. And the reason I'm showing the book, I wrote the book in 2001. The reason I'm showing it to you is we're going to have a major expose. There are some errors in this book. No author wants to admit that there are errors in the book. And when I was writing it and getting ready to send it to the publisher, I had historians from Cheshire check it to make sure everything was factually correct. And I had people who are writers, and they checked it for any mistakes in spelling and things, and no one said anything. And it turns out, much to my sadness, that there are some errors. And we're going to have an expose, probably one a week, on our website. And we're going to let people know, and also on the magazine, obviously. We're going to know, if you have a copy of this book, these are some of the things you may want to correct. So that's that. Let's go to this, Ron. What do you like to do in the magazine?
Well, one of the sections we have is Kochman's Corner. And Kochman's Corner is highlighting some of my trips. I love to travel, and I've gone on some safaris, and I've gone to Europe a number of times, and I've been, actually last year we went through the United States, through all the national parks out west. And we went to Yellowstone, we went to Bryce, it was a wonderful trip. We were away a full month. And also just general photography. I make calendars from some of the pictures. As a matter of fact, I have my calendar here, one of my calendars here, where this was actually taken right from in Southington. It was very interesting because a neighbor of ours called us up and said, I could see the northern lights. And so there we were. Also, another one of the pictures, I'll just show you one other one, is this picture right here, where I went to Holton, Maine, and in Holton, Maine, we saw that we were right on the line from the eclipse.
Yep.
And it was spectacular. Getting up there was no problem. Getting back was a big problem because everybody left at the same time, and we didn't get home for 2 days.
Wow.
So that was that. But my object in the magazine, my highlight in the magazine is going to be the photos. And I also do a lot of the production of the magazine online. I'm learning all about doing websites,
Yes.
which was very interesting.
Yes, well, this person over here has no knowledge. Barely I can get onto the computer. I don't know anything, and Ron, fortunately, is really good at it. We have to mention a third person. There's a person named Reggie Smith. He's our third founder. He was unable to make it today to the show, but he contributes some amazing amount of stories, especially from the past. What does he have, a blog? Is that what he has?
Yeah, he blogs a lot. He takes stories, he gets them from other places, and he just puts them on and on our e-magazine. And he's very helpful because he's putting a lot of stuff up there.
Right. Yeah, and he uses AI too, which I think is amazing, also scary, but yeah, he uses AI. Oh, by the way, we have 2 places you can see our magazine. We have the actual main one, CheshireToday.com, but it's also available on your phone. And there's a difference between the one that's the major one and the one that's on your phone. Tell us what happens.
Well, when you're doing it on the computer, there's a certain width to it, and that's fine. But then when you do it for the phone, it doesn't always automatically change to the narrow rectangular vertical format. So you have a lot of work to do to make it adjust and get everything in and try to show it properly, which is a challenge. That's
Yes.
all I can. It's a big challenge. We're doing really well with it, though. I think it's coming out. And there's also, actually, the other place is we have a Facebook site.
Ah, right.
And on the Facebook site, you can go there. It doesn't have the magazine, but it does show articles that are coming up and what we're doing, and it's very interesting. And you could join. It's a group,
Yep.
a Facebook group. So, and actually, Reggie Smith is very active with that part also.
Yep. And interestingly, people have asked us, well, is this a monthly magazine, or how do you tell yourself when you're going to change? It's really whenever we feel like it. We do things that are current to stuff, like it's a fall. We had a fall issue. We had one for the presidents, but we don't actually have, it's going to change on the 1st of every week, Monday of every week, or the 1st of every month. We just put things up and we take things down, and some of the things that we take down aren't really taken down. They're in another section. So we're kind of like freewheeling with that.
Yes, yes. And one of the other things is with the cover, we have made stands, and we're putting them around in different locations around Cheshire so people can see, and we have a QR code which you can see on the screen.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is aim your phone at it, and it goes right to the site too. So I think these things are really going to help make our magazine popular. And speaking of popular, we also, if people help us, we spotlight their company.
Right.
So we're putting a spotlight page, and you can get your ad on there, and I can link it. I link it to their website if they have one.
Yep. So far, we're not charging for the ads that we give out. They're like a gift. And speaking of gifts, when we started the magazine, we were going to try to have a lot of the websites for our town, both business-wise and municipality-wise. And that was going to be a lot of work, probably many, many hours. But then it turns out that there's a group in town from the Temple led by Barry Feldman, and they put together this thing called a community guide. That's the correct name, right? The community
Cheshire
guide.
Community
Cheshire
Guide.
Community Guide. It's beautiful. It's like a beautifully put together magazine. And they have information in there, they have ads, they have websites, and we got permission from them to put their magazine onto our magazine. And so when you go to their section, you can actually flip the pages. And it's amazing that all the work that they've saved us. And so we've had some discussions with them, trying not to go into their territory with ads, because we've given some free ads and we want to make sure that we don't cause a problem. We've talked with Barry a lot, right?
Yes, we talked with Barry about this, and one of the issues is, of course, that they need to get funds for the ads.
Right.
They need it because their magazine is printed, and it costs them a ton of money to do this. And they're going to come out with a new one. They're working on it now. I think they said it's going to be around April, May, something like that. They're going to come out, and it's a great little magazine. That's how actually the whole idea started about Cheshire Today.
It's got a lot of information. It saved us so much time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It links to every political political office, all the towns' information. It's a very good magazine.
Yeah.
And the only thing is you can't carry it around. So with our magazine, you can look on your phone and you have it right in front of you.
Right.
And you can go to their magazine too and look at their issue, their product. So
Very convenient.
yeah, it's very convenient. The whole situation is really good for us and for them, and they seem to be very nice people,
Yes.
and they're easy to work with, and that's important too.
Yeah, we met with the committee the other night just to make sure that everything was copacetic. And speaking of copacetic, we have a lot of different sections of the magazine. And so we share things that we think are informational about Cheshire, but also things that are just kind of generic. For example, there is this guy named Dr. Seuss. I guess he calls himself Dr. Seuss, yes. And so he is a famous cartoonist, also an author. And it turns out that in this book here, he was showing the artwork that he did against Japan and Germany during World War II. And you never expect to see Dr. Seuss cartoons that are not light and happy and airy and wonderful. They're in here. So if you ever get a chance, get this book. I'm not trying to push the book sales. It's probably in a library, and it's a very interesting book to look at. Have you ever seen this book, Ron?
Just through you.
Just now. All right, just now. All right. Also, I used to be the town historian of Cheshire, and one day someone came to me with a story. They said, "Did you know that President Ford lived in Cheshire?" And I said, "Get out of here. President Ford lived in Cheshire?" She said, "Yes, I'll tell you the story." I said, "I'm going to tell a story to you." So there was a gentleman who lived near Ball and Socket, which is on West Main Street, and he was sitting on his porch one day, and he saw this guy running by him, and he had on a sweatshirt with a big M. And so he called him over, and he said, "Well, what does that M stand for?" And he said, "It stands for Michigan." He said, "I went to Michigan. It's probably university. I don't know if it's Michigan.
It's the University of
University, yeah." And he said, "So I'm here because I'm working at Yale." And I think in 1935 he was a coach of the football team, and I think also boxing, which he never really did, from what I understand. And so he came over and talked with him, and so this person talked to the guy who was on the porch with Ford, who wasn't president at the time, and told me this story. So I started checking into it, and I called his museum, and they didn't know anything about it. So finally I called where he was living in California. He was retired at the time. I don't know if it was a Rancho Mirage or one of those names. And so I talked to his secretary, and I told her what I was looking for. I wanted to confirm that Gerald Ford lived in Cheshire when he was a president, before he was a president, excuse me. And so she said, "Well, by coincidence, I'm about to go in to talk to the president. I will ask him for you, and I'll call you back." And I thought, "Oh, that's great." But then I got off the phone. I said, "Yeah, she's not going to call me back." But she did. Half hour later, she called me back. She said, "I asked the president, did he ever live in Cheshire, Connecticut?" And he said, "Yes," and off and on, something like that. But it was a very, very small response. And so she told me this, and I thought, well, that's a pretty good source, right from the president himself. So I had the audacity to call a press conference in little old Cheshire. So I think there were 3 or 4 newspapers that cover the town, and they came, and we had a plaque that said that he lived in Cheshire. And so all of them thought it was a good idea and that it was a valid story. But one of the reporters put together some kind of negative stuff and said that my research wasn't good enough. what's better than right firsthand from the president?
That's
he
true.
did campaign in Cheshire and in Connecticut some years later, after he was president, and he was asked a similar question: did he ever live in Cheshire? And he said, yes, it's a fine town. So I think you should have to realize that it was true. And I have here this very historic newspaper. Ford assumes presidency. Doesn't say anything about Cheshire, but I thought, hey, if I'm going to talk about Ford, I should at least have an article about him. Unfortunately, he's not in the photo, but he was mentioned in the headline and in the article.
Which brings us to that we are thinking of putting in other presidential type of incidents that happened in Cheshire.
Right.
Like there was something about Calvin Coolidge,
Yes.
his son, right?
Well, his Calvin Coolidge's son, I think his first name was John. He was an officer, possibly even a vice president or president, for the railroad that was based in New Haven. And so Calvin Coolidge, when he was president, he came to New Haven to visit his son. And his son lived in Cheshire. We think it's where Alderson Funeral Home is now. And so it was very snowy, and he got snowed in. And so he was going to have to stay overnight. So the people across the street found out that he was there, probably saw all these cars and limos, whatever he had. And so they booked the woman who was the wife of the farmer who owned the land. They both owned the land. She made cookies for President Coolidge, and she brought him over. And so obviously, they got to talk, and he enjoyed the cookies. And so when he got back to the White House, he sent her a letter thanking her for the cookies. And so when I was talking to her husband about this, she had passed away, I said, boy, if you could find that letter, that would be really great. Unfortunately, he could not find the letter, and I have been unable to verify that that's in fact something that happened. He did live in Cheshire again when he was learning how to be an attorney at Yale. So he was here twice. I still don't understand why he couldn't find a place closer to Yale than Cheshire, but for some reason he was here in Cheshire, and he even swam in a pond or a lake. I don't know, I guess we have a little lake in Cheshire, somewhere around.
Well, we have Mixville.
Well, that's a lake, that's a little lake, but he wasn't in that one. But anyway, President Ford lived in Cheshire, and we're sure of it. So there.
The other thing is, wasn't there something about John Kennedy?
Yes, there was, and thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah, John F. Kennedy went to Choate for high school. And so when his parents came to visit, they came to Cheshire a lot to eat, and they ate at the Waverly Inn. And I was told this by the head waiter from the Waverly Inn. And so I'm pretty sure that's correct. And I think that was all his, the only reason he came to Cheshire. Yeah.
Okay. Also, the other thing, we have going back in time, we have a section now called Yesteryear, where we're putting in how buildings were and how they're going to be, and how they are now, I should say. And all this is so interesting for people who live here now in Cheshire, and we're trying to make our town very popular.
Yes, if we're lucky, we may even get signs on either entrance to Cheshire saying that a U.S. president lived in our town. And that brings to mind, talking about history, the semi-quincentennial is happening on July 4th of 2027. And I happen to be on the committee, and I'm in charge of time capsules. And so one time when I was doing time capsules, we actually buried it. This time I think we're going to have a safe, one of the ones with a combination, and we're going to be able to put things in there, and we won't even have to bury it. We can put it in the basement of the town hall where all the records are protected, and no one's going to come and steal our time capsule. But I wanted people to participate. So there's lots of different kinds of time capsules that are coming your way. One of them is pizza boxes. Nobody thinks about pizza boxes as a thing that you can have as a time capsule, because whoever decided to do that. But if you would like to have a time capsule, you can keep it under your bed if you want to, so it won't be in the way. And you could have one for every year, and you could kind of put them away someplace. You're not going to bury them, and you're not going to put them in the basement of the town hall. But you'll have them, and if you want to, you can get a free pizza box, no problem. You can go to Cheshire Pizza, and Jim, the manager there, or I may even be the owner, I'm not sure. He gave permission to have people come and get a free pizza box for their pizza time capsule. And if you want to do a small time capsule, Altoid boxes are perfect, and you can bury them. Now, I don't know if I put things in a time capsule like this and buried it, there might be like moisture problems. So you might want to put it in a plastic bag
Yes.
when you're in there. Are you going to make a time capsule?
I will do that.
Cool. So let's see. Oh yeah, what are we doing with the logo? We're thinking we
Yes,
yes.
we have for the 250th. We have a logo that Ron actually drew up, and he did a great job. And I did work on it too. I put the flag, the dress flag, on it.
Yes.
And I put the eyebrows.
That's right. Yes, it's called USA, and it's made up of the letters U, S, and A. And it turns out that in my life as an art teacher, I also taught cartooning. And so I like to do cartooning with numbers and letters. So I was going to call them letnums, but that didn't sound right.
Yeah.
So I switched them around, and now I call them numlets. And so I can teach people how to take letters and numbers and turn them into people, animals, dinosaurs. And this time I said, well, it's the USA's birthday anniversary, and we're going to have a USA character. And that's what I did. There's a U, and then there's a A for the body, and there's S for hair, and S for arms. And her name is USA, but I couldn't just put the letter U, so I spelled the word EWE, which is pronounced U. And that's the story for USA, or USA.
One other important thing on our magazine is that we have a calendar and information page where it links to for all the calendars from the library, the public library. It links to Park and Rec. It links to the police blotter. It links to all the different things. So if you go to that page where it's a site index, it's on the front cover. All you do is click on that, it takes you, and you can see the list. And underneath that are all the current articles that we have.
Right.
And on the bottom of the current articles, there's the past articles, some of them.
Right, yeah, we can't fit them all, but
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And it links you to it, so you can always go back. So.
yes. And there was something that I wanted to say, but it ran away from my head. There were things in the magazine that we didn't expect to have. And so these are things like when people pass on, I didn't want to put anything that was negative
Well,
in there.
obituary page.
Yeah, the obituary page. And so it turns out that we have a funeral home in town, Alderson Funeral Home, and they have a fantastic site where they feature the places, the people who had died and gone to their place. And so we got permission from them, you did,
Yes.
to put their site on our magazine.
Okay, that's what we did.
Yeah,
And the magazine's running, and it's up and doing very well so far.
yes,
But we want more people to go to it, and that's why we're here too,
yes.
to help us.
And I wasn't too excited about having a police blotter on there, but it turns out that people tend to want to go there. So what I did, or what you did actually, is their website is there, and you can just go to that.
Okay.
So I think we're coming to the close here. So I'd like to thank you, Ron, for being with us, and I'd like to thank you folks for tuning in. Thank you very much. Farewell.